So let's be real, the most important thing that you WoW nerds want to know is what classes are going to do the most DPS in Cataclysm Classic. Well, luckily, you've come to the right place. Today we're going to be looking at the 4 horsemen of Cataclysm, the classes who hit the hardest throughout the majority of the expansion. But I always take these videos with a pinch of salt, guys. This is based on private server data and also old Warcraft logs from the original Cataclysm, which will likely be slightly different to Cataclysm Classic, plus you never know what class changes they will implement. But nonetheless, this is going to be a very good educated guess. Guys, if you can't wait for Cataclysm, why not fill the time by exploring the Mistwood with a band of powerful heroes, also with a chance of winning a new gaming console and $10,000 in Amazon gift cards. Raid have a new event available, the Spring Hunt minigame, where you can find hidden items in the Mistwood. Just simply download Raid using my link in the description, then click the Spring Hunt link to enter your Raid ID and start searching for the items. Do you want a free legendary? Well, Raid is launching its first ever community week. They give away cool stuff such as super hot legendary champion named Chronica Addon, who puts her enemies to sleep. To get it, all you gotta do is log in for 7 days between now and July the 8th. Just remember to download Raid with my link. My personal favourite champion is the Ultimate Death Knight with his really useful debuffs and party healing. Be sure to click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to download the game on PC, iOS and Android and get the huge starter pack with the epic champion Tyrell, and you'll also get a starter pack after reaching level 25 that includes an epic hero Rector Draft. After downloading the game, use a promo code SPRINGHUNT24 to get loads of silver and more goodies. It's available for both new players and existing players. And guys, remember to join my clan when you get in the game. Firstly, we have the Death Knight. The Unholy Spec will become one of the most sustained and consistent DPS in the expansion with dots to nearly match the Affliction Warlock. With Festering Strike in the game, they can now extend the duration of their dots on the target, meaning they can buff their dots with a strength trinket and then keep rolling those diseases longer and longer so bosses get to experience what it's like to live with herpes.
You son of a bitch! You gave me herpes! What? What are you talking about?
They can generate runes back very fast in Cataclysm, and it gets faster and faster as you get better gear because it scales with haste. But it's mainly down to runic corruption. You have a 45% chance on a death coil to speed up your rune regen by 100%. A Holy Presence speeds it up by a further 10% and grants you another 10% haste when talented. And you can't talk about the Death Knight without talking about Blood Spec. They are highly regarded as the best tank in the game, and that's because they're unkillable and barely need any healing. Honestly, when Blood DK get enough gear, healers can just sit back and put up a hot and go to sleep. You see, the mastery stat for Death Knight, Blood Shield, causes you to gain an absorption effect for 50% of the amount healed from Death Strike, and Death Strike itself is buffed in Cata. It heals for 20% of the damage you have sustained in the past 5 seconds. So optimizing a Blood Death Knight is so incredibly simple. You stack stamina so that you can take more damage and therefore heal more with Death Strike, and you stack mastery to increase that absorption effect over the 50%. When talented, Death Strike also heals for an extra 45%. You have an array of defensive cooldowns to deal with boss mechanics like Bone Shield reducing your damage by 20% providing you have a charge. Icebound Fortitude when talented is now buffed up to 50% damage reduction. You got Vampiric Blood obviously as always to increase your HP pool by 15%. AMS negates all magic damage, and you can cheese mechanics because it prevents you from being debuffed by magic effects, and it's on a short 45-second cooldown. Not to mention that with the correct talents they actually take 24% less melee damage after their armor rating. They are truly an absolute beast, and it's no wonder they can just solo old raids very easily. And now we have the Warlock, the true titan of AoE DPS when spec'd into Demonology. The first new gimmick is the ability to use Hellfire while moving with the Inferno talent, meaning you don't have to faff around recasting it to cover more ground. And you can also take advantage of the jumping trick to increase the range of its damage and look like an absolute obnoxious tit. You now have a unique AoE ability, Hand of Gul'dan. This calls down a meteor to your target causing AoE Shadow Flame damage, and every target affected has an increased chance to be critically hit. You've also got Immolation Aura taking away in Metamorphosis form, along with Demon Leap to get into melee range quickly, and it deals some juicy damage. You've got Shadow Flame to pop, and it actually does good damage now. Your Felguard now has its own powerful Bladestorm ability. Oh, and in case the wallet didn't need any more AoE abilities, you have the Summon Infernal, which is another pet that just spams AoE. As you can see, the demo Warlock has quite a lot of different AoE abilities, a total of 7. To be honest, it might even have more, like hidden away somewhere, I'm not really sure. While playing this class, you will look like a 1990s raver who's just double dropped. I mean, it's quite laughable to be honest when you consider Shadow Priest only have one AoE ability. They'll outperform all other DPS when the fight demands AoE damage, and they will be a favoured class for speedruns. Usually the warrior sucks at the beginning of an expansion, but for the first time since Classic WoW launched 5 years ago, they will start the expansion doing more DPS than a hunter's pet. I think it has a lot to do with the Arms Warrior's new mastery stat. It is basically an internal personal Wind Fury effect. It starts with a 17.6% chance to proc, but each point of mastery increases it by an extra 2.2%. As we know, more melee hits means more rage, which cycles into more damage. The new warrior DPS ability is Colossal Smash. It hits hard for 150% weapon damage, but also causes your following attacks to bypass all armor for 6 seconds. And when glyphed, it also applies the Sunder Armor effect, meaning there's no prot warrior in the group, you don't need to fumble about wasting time stacking Sunder Armor. The power of the Inner Rage cooldown is seriously unappreciated as it sneakily adds a lot of DPS. Because the cooldown is so short, it means about every other 15 seconds you can use Heroic Strike or Cleave without a single rage cost. And you've got the cheeky Insight talent at the top of the prot tree that you can pick up for an extra 15% extra crit, and when it does crit, it makes the next one a guaranteed crit. The best thing about all this is that Heroic Strike and Inner Rage are totally off a global cooldown, so you can just smack it in a macro with every other ability that you use. And because you generate so much rage in Cataclysm, you're basically using an extra ability on every ability for free damage. It probably won't be the most optimal way to play a warrior. All those extra Heroic Strikes definitely add up. Your AoE is also massively improved in the expansion, with Blaze Storm now affecting all targets, and the Blood and Thunder talent allowing you to spread your rend to every target within 8 yards. Now, mages without the legendary are one of the best DPSs in Cataclysm, so you can only imagine what it's going to be like in Firelands once they get that legendary. This is mainly down to how Hot Streak has been buffed and reworked. By default, with Hot Streak, your crits with fire spells have a chance to trigger the Hot Streak, the instant Pyroblast. But on top of this, anytime that you get 2 crits in a row, then Hot Streak is guaranteed, meaning obviously Hot Streaks can proc into each other. You very often just find yourself spamming Pyroblast when you get very lucky. You will also be much less penalised on manoeuvrability fights with the Firestyle talent allowing you to cast Scorch while moving. Oh, and it also doesn't cost any mana now, by the way. Your Flame Strike cast is now instant. When talented, you can also trigger it on blast waves, providing you hit more than 2 targets, and make your AoE even more lethal. With a short cooldown Flame Orb, it just floats towards your enemies and lasers them to death. When Mage do get their legendary, all of these spells have a chance to be duplicated, so you can only imagine how insane that's going to be, especially as it also works on Living Bomb, meaning every tick has a chance to occur another tick with no internal cooldown. This especially gets mental when you fully optimize using Combustion after its revamp. You see, Combustion combines every dot you have on the target, so Living Bomb, Fireball, Pyroblast and Ignite, and it ticks away for 10 seconds. And then for some ridiculous reason you can spread it to all nearby targets with a new Impact talent rework. This means that on 3 targets you can have 15 dots all rolling at once with an internal chance to be duplicated, so yeah, that is perfectly balanced. Before I head off guys, please subscribe to my second channel. I made a really good video over there, in my humble opinion anyway, where I attempt to complete Oblivion as the Adoring Fan NPC. But anyway, my name is Metagoblin. Until my next video, ciao.